And don't get me wrong, like we wear our heart on our sleeve. I probably had to pick myself up out of the gutter, both mentally and with my mindset to go, all right, that's fine. We've had setbacks before. We just keep soldiering on, and you tough it out. I mean, being a bloke, you kind of like try and, be that tough, manly figure. And I think with my biggest growth is just to recognize that, all right, I'm not where I want to be, with the business, with, my personal well-being. And then you go back to looking at what I could control, and not just to talk about like my well-being, what I do there, but specifically more so with our pipeline of work. Okay, you pick it up and go, what's the next thing? What can we do to bring something forward?
G'day guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Build Insite Podcast. This one, we're just going to slow it up a little bit. It has been an incredible inaugural year for myself and Dean getting this platform off the ground. So we don't have a special guest, it's just myself and Dino. Dino, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, mate. How you going, buddy?
Going well. So this is just going to be a bit of a year wrap-up video, I suppose. I'll let you sort of touch on where the journey started, because it was kind of something that was brewing a little bit, and it was about this time that, I'll hand it over to you, mate. You tell the story.
Firstly, mate, if people are going to be listening to this, do yourself a favour, get on Build Insite, INSITE. Have a look at our big heads, and I've got a massive noggin, Lukey, you know that, and I'm wearing a Christmas hat at the moment that it's so tight. But you know what, mate? We're getting in the spirit. You're wearing some sort of...
We are. I'll tell the little embarrassing story. Mine's actually, I couldn't find a Christmas hat, so Caitlin, my wife, actually bought some little costumes for the dogs to wear this year. So I've just found like a little reindeer costume for the dogs, and I've got the antler part of it strapped underneath my headphones. So
go on, mate, for the camera, just do a little flick around. We'll get this up on Instagram.
If I didn't tell you, you wouldn't know about it. But there's the back half of it that goes in there. We've got a couple of sausage dogs, so that's where the body goes. But I've got the antlers up here.
No, too good, mate. Yeah, sorry, we got a bit off track there straight away. Mate, 12 months ago, like so backstory on myself and Luke, we connected a few years ago on our journey to better our businesses and ourselves with some business coaching and so forth. And we both connected on, joined the dots a little bit along the way. Lukey's pretty keen on, producing content with some camping off-road 4x4 trips, and we got chatting a while ago about YouTube and it sort of grew from there. But I rang Lukey 12 months ago, nearly probably to the week really, and flagged, I've got a bit of an idea. This is what, thinking about doing. And it sort of grew from there. I don't think originally we first spoke about the podcast, and, we did have a few of the boys along for the journey early on, and for various reasons where the two heads behind Build Insight, myself and your fine self, Lukey. And mate, it's been a massive first year. We've done a lot, and I know we've just been having a chat today and talking about all the great things happening, mate. But what about yourself, mate? Like, what's your favourite part of the journey so far with Build Insight?
I think probably leads into, I guess, thanking a couple of people as well. Like, probably one of our biggest support, well, definitely our biggest supporter this year. A huge shout out to Bowens, mate. My highlight for the year, because for those listening that are interstate, so Dean is in Victoria, I'm in South Australia. Bowens Hardware Store is only a Victorian-based hardware chain. And so until I started associating with Dean, I didn't even know those guys existed. So their biannual Building and Innovation Expo, I hope I got that right. We actually we had the privilege of being invited to attend the Expo with some special guests, have a bit of a wander around, interview some people, get up on the stage and record a podcast on the stage, and then be interviewed by Andrew Healy. I will never forget that moment on the Tuesday night when I flew over, landed there, and we went to drop off the banners, and walking through the front doors on the Royal Exhibition Centre. I remember looking over at you, I reckon I said, "Oh, we're a bit out of depth here. This place is unreal." So that by a absolute long shot, I reckon, is definitely the highlight of my year. But Yeah, man, there's so many that go with it.
Definitely a good one just to let listeners know that the first back-to-back episode of 2025, I think we've got that scheduled in for Monday the 13th of Jan. A lot of people will probably be heading back to work on that day. We've got Andrew Healy on for an amazing chat. If you're at all wondering about how you upskill, level up your business, get in contact, with people like Bowens, behind Bowens and so forth, and a lot of the other companies that are associated. It's one not to miss. There's some stuff there where you're going to learn a lot of things. So, yeah, I think that was definitely a highlight, mate. Like we actually had a good mate of ours, Heath from Sam I Am, back in the previous episode. We did the podcast live on the stage there, and yeah, a bit of a pinch me moment. We're just a couple of builders and set out to have a bit of fun and do our part to bring a bit of education and just share our experiences, knowledge, failures, wins along the way. So
probably a good point to touch on there, mate. Actually, like it really is. This platform kind of came about by us really enjoying what we do and wanting to have a little bit more fun with it and put our learnings out there. Because I mean, by no means do we know everything. Hell, we've always got something else to learn. But yeah, it's just, I guess, just a really fun platform that, it's been incredible to have the feedback and listen to people's, like how people engage with what we're doing and the encouragement. So please keep singing it out there, because the more that you encourage us to do it, we love putting it out there for you guys. So yeah,
exactly, mate. I think one of my favorite highlights of the year so far out of it was, there's been a lot, but just a smaller one where you feel like, okay, even if you want to make a difference, I have said this before, if I can just make a difference for one person to teach them something or make their, life pivot slightly to understand, hey, there's a better way, or you're not alone or whatever. Myself and actually Anthony from Outlier Studio went to a sustainable expo earlier in the year in Victoria, and we actually had I think young fellow was about fourth year apprentice, might have been 21 or something like that, and he just came up and saw a bunch of the models. We had some things there for the decentralized HRVs and little section details of high performance windows, sample wraps from ProClimber and things like that. And his eyes just lit up, and he had myself there and Anthony, who's a building designer, and he just asked so many questions for about 40 minutes, and he walked away, and then he actually came back later in the day and thanked us again and again. And I thought, wow, that's awesome. It was a Sunday. We spent time Saturday getting ready to have everything set up. So better part of the whole weekend, and that made it worthwhile. It was like, this guy's going to pivot his building journey from maybe just, you don't know what you don't know. And then he's gone away thinking, I can actually find, maybe a slightly different career path in carpentry that's going to push me in a better direction. And that's direction yourself and me have definitely done in our businesses of recent times too, mate. So that's pretty special, the smaller one.
I don't know if you told me about that one. That's a really interesting story. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, that for me, mate, that's some of the highlights there. But yeah, as you said, I think couple of ones for me, mate, with the podcast specifically. We've had amazing guests on. I think we've done about 20 odd episodes this year. Just only kicked off maybe close to midway through the year. I was away in Queensland having a family holiday mid-year around about that July mark, and you messaged through to us and said, I've got TX looking, they're up here, they're over in Adelaide, and we're going to have the CEO of TX coming on. And I just said, mate, can you send me a link? I think I had some gym headphones, a dodgy microphone, and somehow we made the audio work. That was a wicked chat.
It was so good. I reckon I'll be able to find a highlight photo or video from that I reckon there were two of the blokes that came in. So there was Jason Bakes, the co-CEO, and then his colleague Von came in as well. And Von got some video footage on his phone, just panning around the room, so that we could see you, because we were up in the studio that we've got in the upstairs part of our building office. And we normally, when we record them in studio, we can't actually see ourselves because it's on a laptop, and there's like Caitlin might be there watching it, producing it or whatever. So that we knew what you were doing, I quickly unplugged one of my computer monitors, dragged that upstairs, and we had that propped up on about 3 cardboard boxes and a deck chair, I think, trying to look back at us so that we could see what you were doing. But it couldn't have gone any better. It was an absolutely incredible episode.
Yeah, they're the powerful ones. And I know we had a great one with Jess and Ben coming to your studio. I wasn't a part of, but that was, amazing. We've probably both done some episodes that we're not there for, and we eagerly listen out for, because we know that there's just some really good conversations we're having with amazing people. So I think we have to thank every person who's made the effort to either come in or jump online and donate some time to have a discussion. And the feedback we get every week from an array of people across the industry is always super rewarding.
Yep, you know who you are. I wish we could really remember exactly every person that's been on there, but there's been a lot, which is very fulfilling.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Definitely. And there's some great ones lined up into next year. So yeah, stick with us, guys. It's going to be a really exciting year. So Lukey, we won't just talk about wins, mate, as well. What's 2024 been like for yourself? Maybe if you want to touch on a couple of the wins, and then maybe some of the things that you found, some of the struggles, and maybe the lower points for the year too, mate.
I would love to, mate, because it has been, by far, this has been the most interesting year in business, I reckon, that we've had. It's been definitely the biggest year that we've ever had, because I think it's incredibly valuable that we go into this to talk about our building companies, because it's not just Build Insite, it's our individual building companies that can generate this platform. So I guess we've worked pretty hard over the last couple of years to essentially have a complete business restructure, definitely implemented an incredible amount of systems and processes and changed the way that we do things. So has gone from probably the quietest year that we ever had last year while we were getting everything in place, to now that everything is locked down and these quality leads have been coming through on these projects that we've been working on. It has been an absolutely phenomenal year for us, in a good way and a bad way, because what leads into obviously growth with that, you need to expand the team, which has been by far the most difficult year that we've ever had, trying to find the right people to fit our business culture, as well as align with our values. Thankfully, I'm incredibly happy to report that as of the last probably 6 or 7 weeks that we have now, I would go far to say that we've got the best team that we've ever had, the biggest and best team that we've ever had, which is quite comfortable now leading into this time of year, because I know everyone talks about the massive Christmas rush, and this time of year gets super stressful for everyone. Whilst, yes, it is busy, but we're in such an incredible position that the team knows what's expected of them. They know what they're doing. Everything's been scheduled out well enough and planned that, yeah, we're busy, but I would not say that I'm stressed one bit, mate. It's been a big year, a little bit overwhelming with everything that's gone on, but yeah, huge wins all around.
Oh, that's awesome, mate. I'm very much proud of you. As I touched on at the start of the episode, we've gotten to know each other really well, both on a personal and business level in the last few years, and I've seen the blood, sweat, and tears you've put in, and hard work does pay off. And I think for our listeners, as everyone goes through shit from time to time, and you've definitely been very open. You probably won't touch on too much, but you did win some awards with Live Life Build earlier in the year and cleaned up, and they're little recognitions for your work, but you've been pretty open through that process that you were at the point where you just didn't think there was a future with it, and you couldn't quite grasp. And when you were turning things around a year ago and through this year, the joy and the excitement, and I suppose level of commitment that you were applying just really pays off in spades, and you just keep growing, which is awesome.
I do appreciate your kind words, mate. And it is, like, for anyone that is listening out there, it's getting easier to tell the story. It was pretty hard to tell it in the early days, but to sort of expand on what Dean is saying, about 2 years ago, we were in by far the worst position we'd ever been in. I'd only just invested in business coaching, and thankfully I managed to get it at the right time, because I was really contemplating just giving up. We cut a Christmas holiday short because the funds had dried up in the bank account, and I didn't want to leave massive debts with everybody, and I was thinking, right, shit, how do I fold this up now? I don't know if I can keep doing this. And yeah, just the beauty of being involved in an incredible business coaching network and being open enough to talk to people, which that I would love to say the biggest takeaway from anyone in this story is reach out to people, like open up and tell your story, because there's always people out there that have gone through the same shit or going through the same shit that would be more than happy to lend a helping hand or a bit of advice, which is what happened to me. Thankfully, I ran into or met blokes like yourself and Daz, which I'm forever grateful for, to be able to use as a bit of a sounding board, have some feedback and advice for me to push and get through it. So yeah, which has been, it's just gratitude is probably one of the biggest things I've learned, that you really got to sit back and soak in everything that's going on, because you really do get overwhelmed with just the day-to-day grind. And then sometimes you really just got to sit back and pinch yourself a little bit and go, fucking hell, that's where we were at the start of the year or last year or whatever it was. Look at what we actually have achieved. Like, take all the little wins and soak them in, because I think you really, people just brush over it too quick, and they don't stop to give themselves a pat on the back. So mate, I reckon people listening aren't going to see this, but I reckon both of us, put your hand up, mate. Turn around. Give yourself a pat on the back, Dino.
Go, mate.
It's been a big year, mate. So I thank you gratefully for your support this year, mate, and your kind words. And I can say it back to you as well. It's been incredible to listen to some of the stories and the projects that you guys have got on, and how your business has evolved over the last couple of years of our friendship as well. So, mate, it's this podcast isn't just about me. So definitely, why don't you touch on my awards? I reckon you should give a little shout out. Give us some insight on a couple that you cleaned up on the mid-year as well.
Yeah, well, mate, I suppose my personal journey, splitting in tying with Backman Builders, but not so much completely. But I made the call to move my family in 2021 out regional, away from metro. We literally needed just a building permit on our old house. We would have been doing a major reno extension, and my missus actually said to me back then, she's like, "You're not going to be happy if we just stay here and build this house." And I said, "No, I don't think I will be. I need the space. I want to get back onto some property." I've got 4 young daughters. My youngest at the time was only about 1, not even 1. And, that kid just doesn't know life any different. She literally spends her days with animals. I think she just did a kinder presentation, 2 days of kinder left, and did a kinder presentation in a thing today with about, I don't know, all pictures of animals, and the stupid amount of animals we have is crazy. But, leading into the area, I set some pretty big goals, in the Macedon Ranges, which is, we're only about an hour more central from Melbourne. And, which is great, because Darren is based in Melbourne, and we do projects in both areas. So it complements that we can not have to travel all the time to each other's projects between Melbourne and rural. But we've definitely lucky enough. We've got that support of each other in our business. But I thought, we're doing some great things, and we're really trying to make our business as sustainable as possible, putting the education out there as much as we can, just with things with Open Day. We had projects open for Sustainable Open House Day this year, private open inspections and stuff like that. And, we were lucky enough to win a few awards with the Macedon Ranges Business Awards. And I don't really like that sort of stuff. I keep to myself quite a bit, mate, even though I'm doing a podcast. She said it to Nicole this morning. I think back in school, like, if you had even asked me to get up in front of the English class and read a textbook or something, I'd be shitting myself. And then this year we're talking up on stage at the Bowens Expo and stuff. And I thought, wow, things change. But we're at the awards ceremony, and just another mother we knew there that was another business owner came up to us at the bar and said, "You guys will win one of the main awards because you've won a couple already." I'm like, no. And anyway, they got us up, and we won the Business of the Year in the Macedon Ranges Award, which, it was quite humbling, because there's some amazing businesses. But that was actually pretty incredible, because we got so much support, and talking about pat on the back. But, we got just so many people in the community that, from the schools and everything, that were just I'm talking like 6 weeks later, still congratulating us. So
that is awesome, mate.
It is, mate. And, at the same time, I don't know, you always, I'm a harsh judge of myself too, and what we're doing. And Darren's the same. And, we've been brought up with a family of like, really self-minded business people as well that want to better our families. Obviously, I think that's our biggest thing. I want to be able to set my kids up, and that's my biggest vision in my life. I've got a lot of goals, but my vision is to help set my kids up down the track. But I think working through the year as well, like we talk about some of our wins and losses with ourselves. I thought we were sitting there at the start of the year and I'm like, we're going to have the biggest year we've ever had. Backman Builders, we took on a project where we've done our own project this year as well. We did a full renovation on our Oak Villa project that's now sold and settling next week.
Is that your first personal development that you guys have done?
For a long while, mate. I think we've been kind of up and down with years with kids and everything, but it's definitely a bit of a goal to do a little bit more of that down the track. By no means do I want to be a developer, but that's another conversation.
I need to jump in here for a minute, guys, to thank our sponsors, Backman Builders and Calorie Building. Without the support of these businesses, the Build Insite podcast wouldn't be possible. Take a moment to go and show some support for them so they can continue to support us, bringing you the Build Insite podcast.
But yeah, I mean, to be brutally honest, we should, we've had a couple of really unsuccessful stories this year with, and you can't begrudge any of the actual clients. We've unfortunately had client fall through really late in the piece with some health issues, and that was really unfortunate for them and saddening for them. They were relocating their life and a little bit older, but they had moved to be close to family, and unfortunately that project got sold. And then we've had another one recently that we found out about that just sort of disappeared out of nowhere. That there was a bit of a marriage breakdown as well. And it just, I feel like that a couple of those ones where you can, we still have work on and we want to have our glass half full, but this happens to everybody in the industry. We've
bloody harsh beats the building industry, isn't it?
Yeah. And we've spoken about this before. We always chat. We're big on, collaboration and being invested in a pre-construction process. What it does allow, what that allowed us to do, and don't get me wrong, like we wear a heart on our sleeve. I probably had to pick myself up out of the gutter, both mentally and with my mindset to go, all right, that's fine. We've had setbacks before. We just keep soldiering on, and you tough it out. I mean, being a bloke, you kind of like try and, be that tough, manly figure. And I think with my biggest growth is just to recognize that, all right, I'm not where I want to be. With the business, with my personal well-being, and then you go back to looking at what I could control, and not just to talk about like my well-being, what I do there, but specifically more so with our pipeline of work. Okay, you pick it up and go, what's the next thing? What can we do to bring something forward? And where it's been really frustrating the last few months is it actually, I feel like at the moment, Lukey, Victoria, I know you guys probably from our chats have a little bit more efficiency with getting through councils and planning and so forth. But I feel like in everyone I'm talking to in Victoria, our councils are really understaffed, overworked. Can't comment too much on what their systems and policies and so forth are like. But I found it really frustrating because we had some really good projects we're working through, and then it's like we're seeing more disconnect with councils, our building surveyors process, a lot of our consultants, and just making sure the paper trail side of things is aligning. I feel like there's a real growing disconnect there, where it was pretty evident to us in the second half of the year that we can't really push things through super fast. I mean, we want things done properly.
Do you guys actually have like a one platform that oversees everything? So it used to be the direct application to the council, but a few years ago, South Australia implemented an online portal called Plan SA. So every development application gets lodged through an online portal that then gets divvied out to the council from there. So there's not really any wall that they can hide behind anymore. It gets overseen by someone else. Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say, to my knowledge, mate, something as specific as that. I mean, people, you would use, I'm not sure, maybe some people still do, but I always say a private building surveyor is the way to go once you've got your planning approval. But I feel like if you've got a good planner involved, early days, and this is definitely something would be, we've done an episode early days that Anthony had lined up that went through planning, but I think there's just, for us, there's the steps and the stages. So I mean, council are required to sort of act on their planning. Get you back a report within 60 days. They might ask for more information. It just seems like they keep getting further ahead. Unfortunately, like, you hear horror stories of, I think the Macedon Range is one of the shires that maybe have the most rates of applications that end up in VCAT, which is our sort of tribunal hearing here. So it's like a small court. So that's where you go for disputes that can end up, and that process is costly and takes time. So I think I would hope that with all talks of our political leaders wanting to see more houses built, we don't want to just see any type of house built. We want to make sure they're above board and quality homes. But I feel like the process was probably a little bit highlighted for us this year, out of probably diving further into it, that it's not a really fast process anymore. We actually just put out a bit of a blog the other day for backman builders that was based on, if you want to build in 2026, now's the time to start. And I actually had a couple of people go, "Oh, you're already trying to line up work for 2026," and I kind of nicely said, "Do the maths." You need to. Yeah.
I think definitely if you go through that, if you're a builder that's heavily involved in that pre-construction process, this is not talking about it from the client's perspective now. This is just solely from a builder, because a client, if they've already had a designer engaged, like, they may have even been in the process for 12 months or 2 years or however long it may be before the builder gets engaged to help out. So, but yeah, definitely that's probably the biggest thing we've noticed being involved in pre-construction as well, is educating a client that for some reason you still get people that think that they'll have the whole design done, engineering, and ready to build in 3 months. That doesn't happen. Yeah. If it does, well, no. I'd love to know how. Give us a few pointers. But definitely, sort of we're finding the average is anywhere between about 12 to 18 months to be able to, or so from initial consultation with us to then by the time it goes through design, engineering, selections, and then contract signing, it's about 12 to 18 months by the time we actually start construction.
So it's a pretty average kind of process, and you don't want to be rushing it too much and making mistakes and realizing, I probably could have done something a bit different there, or having regrets. It's too expensive to do it again, and you don't want to spend all that money and then all of a sudden think, God. And as the builder, you don't want to be getting into a building contract and then having a client who feels like they've just rushed it through, and then you're having extra issues on your hand trying to please everybody. Like, it should be a really enjoyable process from start to finish.
What about on a positive note, mate? What are some small work wins that you had? Have you grown the team a little bit this year? Have you got some awesome jobs locked in for in the new year that you're happy to talk about?
Yeah, mate, we've actually had a really, really awesome year with the team. We've got we're not as big as we've been in the past. Like, we're definitely in a position now. We're looking to get a couple more people on board, but we've got some awesome boys. Three of the boys actually had birthdays within the last week, I reckon. So it's been a little bit of a joyful kind of end of the year. We got some breakup drinks next week and so forth. But yeah, we've actually just even today just signed a contract for an amazing project next year that we're definitely going to be highlighting on Build Insite. It's a pretty unique property.
Fantastic.
With a cool story. And I think, mate, the biggest thing for me is the last month, mate, as you're aware, Nicole, my wife's had a knee reconstruction and ended up with a blood clot and a few hospital visits and stuff. And it's actually been a really taxing month for me, but at the same time, I've had awesome support And it just goes to show, how amazing our better halves are. But,
Well, not only that, I think you got to give yourself a pat on the back for that, mate, to stand up with running a business yourself as well. Obviously, Nick's got her business, but she's obviously taking a bit of time off for her recovery. So you're trying to run a business. You've got 4 daughters that you need to run around after as well. You've got Nick, even though she's laid up, I'm sure she's still managing to look after herself without you anyway, but there's probably a few things you're doing for her. You've got, what do you got? 100,000 cows, 75 donkeys.
Something like that, mate.
What else you got out there you got to look after?
Yeah, if I had 100,000 cows, I might not be sitting here, mate. But no, yeah, definitely. Like, it's good. But what I was getting at is, I think I probably sit there sometimes, and as I said before, judge myself pretty harshly. But the reality is, like, I've got to review everything and go, I've already got success, because I've got that real flexibility that business should give you. You shouldn't actually have to be tied up to a business to the point where you can't step away from it. If that's the case, then you probably need to sit down and go, what am I doing? Because it would be easy to work for someone else and take some time off. But I've had that flexibility the last month to really prioritize, my kids, Nick, myself, and completely open and honest with clients. They know that I've got a lot on my plate, and they've been really supportive too. So not to mention my team have been awesome, led by Daz, but that's been a bit of a challenge for the end of the year. But the positives that I pull out of it is I've had a lot more time with my kids. I do try and get the drop-offs and pickups and stuff. To do all of them and be at every commitment and everything is, I suppose, an absolute luxury. So that's, taking the positives. But mate, I'm ready for Christmas break. I don't know if we'll be wearing this big red hat very often, mate. With this massive.
Has before we go too far and forget about Big Daz, does he going to listen to the podcast, you reckon? Has he gotten over the fact that Collingwood did win the flag this year?
Oh, mate, you'll get a phone call. Yeah. No, we're
I love you,
another
Daz.
year next year, Lukey. No, it's yeah, we're all ready for a bit of a break, mate. We've got an exciting last week to finish up, and yeah, what about yourself, mate? You've got a bit of a knockoff getaway planned?
Yeah, well, sort of. We're gonna postpone. We need to get away. It was so I've got a whiteboard that sits above my computer that I've got some 2024 goals written on there. I think it's I think you'd have the same opinion, mate. We all like to set ourselves some pretty big goals, and it's okay if you don't achieve all of them, as long as you've got a plan to just not forget about it and how are you going to achieve it maybe in the new year. So I'll report in. I didn't achieve all of them. There were some pretty ambitious ones on there, I'll be honest with. One of them was a mid-year minimum 2-week break that unfortunately didn't happen due to massive pipeline of work. A few things didn't quite go to plan. Huge staff shortage, so I ended up had to can that. So the plan was to have that break over the Christmas break. But right on the top of my 2024 goals list was actually to buy another house, and happy to report we actually made that happen last week, and we get the keys next Friday being, it's probably not going to make sense to people when the podcast comes out. I'll say next Friday the 20th. So Merry Christmas to us. We get the keys of a new house. So the first week of our what's supposed to be mid-year break going away is actually going to be moving house.
Yeah.
So we, hopefully planning to try and wrangle the rest of the team's only having 2 weeks off. So we're hoping to try and wrangle a third, myself and Caitlin, and maybe sneak over the West Coast and do a bit of fishing and camping and whatever, and just unwind for a little bit, because it is way overdue. That's for sure.
Mate, well, this is the pat on the back episode, this one, because that's a huge pat on the back. It's
it's been a long time coming. We sort of set it's another project for us. We did it with our first house we bought. It's kind of trying to find that golden house, the shittest house on the best street in a good area, that sort of thing. A bit of a project, like a live-in renovation. So the current house was only supposed to be a 5-year plan. The joy of being a builder, our house always got left till last, so it's taken us 9 years to get through where we are now. So yeah, hopefully this one doesn't quite take as long, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
That's it, mate. Well, yeah, Castle to Backman, hopefully we'll be getting the big Renault extension in 2025. So there's a goal of ours, but
look forward
to it. Otherwise I'm going to have my missus throwing her crutches at me she won't need anymore. So that'll be huge, mate. But I just want to throw out to our listeners too. We've had a couple of chats ourselves on here, and we've definitely sparked a bit of interest with some topics we talk about. If you're following us and you're listening to our podcast, if there's something that you would love answered, reach out to us on our socials. By all means, ask away. You never know, if it's a hot enough topic, we'll get you on here for a chat and run through it. We don't have any set agenda or agendas that we stick to. There's a massive industry with a lot of topics, and we know there's a lot of people out there with different mindsets and questions about anything. So yeah, throw it out there. If you're keen to know something or you want to talk about something, reach out. 2025 is a massive year. I'm going to have to make sure Lukey buddy gives his dog clothes back and before the move. So little Dutch hound can pack his bags, Lukey. Let's do yourself a favour and get on our socials and have a look. But mate, it's a huge year.
I think probably if anyone's listening as well, that if you feel like you've got a valuable conversation that you want to have with us, reach out. Or if you think of any guests that, geez, I know this person that's in this part of the industry or does this, that would be a really good topic to discuss their expertise, or if they've got something of value to bring to the table. We've got some incredible guests lined up already for the new year, but yeah, it's definitely something that, like Dean said, we're not stuck on one specific agenda. It doesn't have to be about exactly running of the business or any specific sustainable product or anything like that. It's quite a broad discussion of topics that we really want to push out there. So yeah, if you're someone that wants to jump on the podcast, feel free to reach out. Or if you know someone that we should hit up to get as a guest, we'd love to know about it.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. But yeah, to all our listeners, thanks for all the support in 2025. 2025 is going to be big. We're just getting started, aren't we, Lukey? We're just really passionate about what's happening and what we can sort of put towards the industry and all the amazing conversations at a minimum. So, mate, my friend, it has been a cracking year one of Build Insite. We've seen a fair bit of stuff going on, and we've been hacked on main stage of an expo to everything. So, it's all good. We're loving every minute.
We are. No, absolutely. There's definitely between some of our projects that we both got coming up in the new year, we've probably as of late, it's been a main focus is keeping the podcast running. But yeah, there's definitely some exciting stuff in the pipeline in the new year for some really interesting video content. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But yeah, otherwise, I'll echo what Dean said. Thank you so much for all your support this year, guys. Appreciate everybody reaching out. It has actually been a little bit overwhelming with the amount of people that do listen and reach out to say, hey, I listened to this episode and it was really good that you spoke about that with such and such. So it's been very, very fulfilling and refreshing to hear it, that the message is getting out there, and we look forward to bringing you more of it in the new year. So that will be enough for us to wrap up 2024. Guys, we wish you all a very merry, happy and safe Christmas and New Year, and look forward to bringing you some stuff soon. If you want to follow along the Build Insight journey, if you are happy to head over to Instagram and search build.insite, or look us up on YouTube. We have got a website that is launched. It's got a few links to it as well if you're really struggling to find where we are. www.buildinsight.com.au has all the relevant links to our social media, YouTube and podcast as well. So yeah, been an absolute pleasure to be getting this platform off the ground and running with you, Dino. Wish your family a safe and happy Christmas as well. And yeah, look forward to chatting again in the new year.
Likewise, Lukey. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. See you guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll see you next year. Let's cue the disclaimer. I need to let you know that myself and the Build Insight team are in no way, shape or form qualified to give you personal or specific business advice. We strongly encourage you seek out the use of professionals for products or when you are making personal or business decisions. Everything discussed during the Build Insite podcast is our own and the guest opinion and personal experience and is of a general nature only. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Catch you on the next one.